intérprete en español o algún otro idioma puede levantar la mano. Tenemos intérpretes aquí para la reunión hoy. We do have language access for those who need interpreters in a different language. We have interpreters in Spanish, Burmese, Karen, Nepali, Swahili, and can have access to other languages. If you do need an interpreter, please let one of our staff members know, raise your hand, and we can make sure that we have an interpreter available for you for today's meeting. Again, good afternoon, welcome. It's great to see everybody after a holiday weekend. I hope everyone had a relaxing weekend and was able to do some self-care. So we'll go ahead and get started with our meeting. Board colleagues, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Superintendent, staff, and all guests that are with us this afternoon, welcome. Great to see you all, whether you're here in person or virtually. We'll read our board norms and protocols. As we do at every board meeting, we agree to respect differences of opinions in making decisions for the district, follow best practices when managing the superintendent and the management of the board itself, to stay on task when conducting business for the district, including while at board meetings, to never surprise the superintendent or each other when conducting official business of the district, to read these norms at the beginning of each board meeting and at board workshops as a reminder of how to conduct our meetings, and to continually self-check to determine if we're following our norms when conducting district business. Again, good afternoon, great to see you all. And with that, Ms. Smith, would you please do a roll call?
Yolanda Clark.
Yolanda Clark, present.
Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, present.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, present.
Robert Mylan Jr.
Mylan Jr. present.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, present.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, present.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, present.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion to approve today's regular agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark.
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.
Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we're going to jump right into our agenda. We have the opportunity to, yes, Ms. Russell.
I apologize. I thought we were just doing the roll call just now. I apologize.
Oh,
Can I make an amendment to the agenda?
Mr. Goheen.
I mean, you guys have already approved it, I guess. You could still make a motion to amend it, I guess. But it's technically it's approved, but yeah, you could do that.
I mean, I can do that, or I can pull the item on the consent agenda. I would like an executive session. That was my amendment.
Okay. Yes. Was it specific to, no, that's okay. Specific to which item on the consent? No, we can definitely do that. And I don't think we need to amend the agenda since it's specific to the HR report. We can just add that exec session. Mr. Goheen nodded his head for those watching.
I'm sorry.
So, all right, thank you. So we'll jump right into our agenda. First up, we have our awards and recognition. Always a fun time and a great time to recognize students and staff. So I would invite Dr. Sutherland to the podium as we recognize our Employee of the Month.
Randy Lopez, Board President, Maxine Drew, Board Vice President, and Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of the Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, and to all of the board, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am delighted to stand before you today to do a special recognition, but before I must continue with our housekeeping tips. Today, after the teacher or the students are recognized, they will come in the front for 3 pictures. After we have finished all recognitions, we will have a short break. We will capture the first picture being with the student, the superintendent, and the board or the employee. The second, we are asking our nominating staff and principal to join. And the third, we would ask for our families that are here to support and join the group. Now, I am so delighted to have Ms. Joyce Osborne come to the front. Joyce Osborne is the Nutritional Service Cafeteria Manager from Central Middle School.
Yes.
Now, it's been stated that her exemplary record is matched by her unwavering dedication to serving our students and staff with exceptional customer service. She is loved by her students and staff at Central Middle School, and that love was on display when the school choir came to the cafeteria to sing her happy birthday. Joyce has mentored and trained countless nutritional service managers, and her influence is far-reaching and appreciated beyond her school. Now, what you all didn't know, she is the Employee of the Month, but this is a very special recognition, and I'm going to tell you why. So I went to Central Middle School, and I found some staff, and I said, "Do you know Joyce Osborne?" And they replied, "JJ? Yes, we know JJ." I said, "Oh, you call her JJ?" I said, "Tell me about her." They went on to tell me she is so much fun, always has a smile on her face, a great human, has a positive energy, and is always uplifting. But she is specially recognized today because if you really didn't know, you're going to know. I need everyone to join me because Joyce JJ has been with the Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools for 45 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations, JJ. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Your car is in the parking lot.
The board has purchased. At this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Jermaine Wilson.
Good evening, President Lopez, Vice President Drew, Superintendent Dr. Anna Stubblefield, and members of the board.
Good evening.
I am delighted to present our final Outstanding Students of the Month candidates to the board for May 2024. I'm also excited to say that over the year, we've had 574 student nominations from across our campuses this school year.
Yeah.
We would like to thank our wonderful students, our fantastic staff, and our supportive families, as well as the Kansas City, Kansas Schools Foundation for Excellence for supporting our students this year. I would also be remiss to not recognize our committee members for the year for Student of the Month, board members Maxine Drew and Rachel Russell, and district staff members Noemi Sanchez, Tiara Chapman, Kara Spittles, Naomi Tolentino, Lauren Hernandez, Lisa Martinez, and Nicholas Damiani. Can we give them a round of applause? Nominations for Student of the Month are completed under the following pillars: attendance recognition, outstanding academic performance, positive behavior, commitment to service and citizenship, scholarship and/or community recognition, and outstanding athletic achievement. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our Early Childhood Student of the Month, Adrian Guzman from Bethel Early Childhood Center.
Yeah.
Adrian was nominated by teacher Dorothy Betts, and she stated when Adrian first joined our preschool class, he struggled a lot with maintaining focus. It was necessary to often move him around during circle time to help him absorb the information needed. Despite these initial challenges, Adrian's potential became evident during a unit on Black history. Using music and visuals, this study introduced famous Black Americans that captured his attention and ignited a newfound curiosity. A pivotal moment in his development came when we explored the life and legacy of Jackie Robinson. His lesson transformed his engagement with history. He not only learned the songs, but also asked insightful questions, demonstrating a deep interest in the subject matter. Jackie Robinson's story inspired Adrian, and he began to articulate the details of what he had learned. This new enthusiasm for history and eagerness to learn new words has been extraordinary. His mother shared her joy when he came home and explained the meaning of metamorphosis, a concept we explored in class using the character The Incredible Hulk to make it accessible. Adrian's progress is a source of pride from our school. His story underscores the importance of engaging educational content and the positive impact it can have on a child's development. I wholeheartedly recommend him for the May Student of the Month. He has shown remarkable growth, a passion for learning, and an ability to inspire all those around him. And if you get a chance this evening, please ask him about Jackie Robinson and the significance of number 42 in baseball. His knowledge and enthusiasm will surely impress you. I did ask him about baseball. He told me today he was talking about cars, and so he has a little car that he can share with you. But when he grows up, he wants to be a firefighter, and he loves to go outside for recess and is looking forward to sharing his learning with others this summer. Congratulations, Adrian.
Yeah.
Our first elementary student of the month is none other than Mary Jean Mohinanani.
Crown on her head.
Mary is a kindergarten scholar at Francis Wheeler Elementary School and is being nominated by Assistant Principal Thomasina Bonight. Mary exemplifies the qualities of an outstanding student and a valuable member of our school community. Her character is marked by honesty, sweetness, kindness, and a sense of humor. Mary's ability to uplift others with her infectious laughter and positive outlook is truly remarkable. Academically, Mary is nothing short of exceptional. She consistently excels in all subjects, demonstrating a remarkable aptitude for learning and a diligent work ethic. Her stellar performance in the classroom sets a high standard for her peers and earns her the title of a star student. Additionally, Mary is an integral part of our dual language program. This is her first year studying Spanish, but she's truly taken it upon herself to immerse herself fully in the language. It is a testament to her dedication and determination that she has made significant strides in learning and understanding Spanish within a short period. It's rare to find a moment where Mary isn't actively engaged in Spanish conversations, and she greets individuals with a warm smile in Spanish regularly. She is an exceptional student who embodies the spirit of our school community in every way, and her outstanding character, academic excellence, and dedication to shared values makes her an ideal candidate for Student of the Month. And I asked Mary her favorite part about school, and she said dual language. She loves learning in English and Spanish, and she's learned so many things this year, and she likes to have conversations. I asked her what she wanted to do when she grew up. She says she wants to be an artist and a scientist. She doesn't know what that term is, but she loves to do both, so she's gonna make it happen. Congratulations, Mary. Our second elementary student of the month is none other than Tanaya Hicks from Quindaro Elementary School. Tanaya is a fourth grade scholar at Quindaro and is being nominated by teacher Lori Biddle. As a leader in Ms. Biddle's class, Tanaya consistently demonstrates the qualities that make her an outstanding student and a positive influence in the school community. Tanaya always has a positive attitude towards her learning and peers, regardless of how her day is going. As the student council representative for her class, she exemplifies leadership and responsibility. She never argues or questions instructions. Instead, she always responds respectfully and responsibly. Tanaya embodies Quindaro's pause expectations and demonstrates great wildcat pride. She brings her positive energy and school spirit to the Quindaro cheerleading team. Her respect for her peers and other students throughout the building, visitors, and all adults is unwavering. Tanaya is a safe student who always practices safe behavior choices. She models responsibility by consistently completing her homework and always striving to have others do their best. She arrives each day with a smile, ready and excited to learn. Additionally, Tanaya participates in after-school tutoring, where she is making significant progress using mental math skills. She brings her leadership qualities to all areas of the school, including tutoring, supporting peers, asking questions, and remaining motivated to learn and grow. The positive impact she's had on her classmates and other students in Cordero cannot be overstated, and these qualities make her a deserving candidate for the Student of the Month award. I asked Tanaya what was her advice to other students for Student of the Month. She said, be yourself and always be good. And then we talked about dinner time, and I said I was hungry. And she said her favorite food is Chipotle. That's one of my favorite foods as well. Congratulations, Tanaya. Representing our middle school Student of the Month, also coming from Central Middle School, how fitting that we had an Employee of the Month from that school, is Samuel Banda. Samuel's a sixth grade scholar at Central Middle and is being nominated by teacher Molly Howland. She says that he exemplifies the qualities of an outstanding student through his hard work, academic excellence, and unwavering support for his peers. He not only excels academically, but goes above and beyond to assist others in the classroom without being asked. His peers feel safe approaching him, whether they are close friends or not, because of his friendly and kind nature. While I'm nominating Samuel for his exemplary behavior, it is important to note his dedication to academic achievement. He consistently turns in all assignments, actively participates in discussions, and advocates for himself by asking questions when he doesn't understand something. His proactive approach to learning and his ability to balance kindness with academic rigor sets him apart as an exceptional student. He has the qualities of respect, kindness, humility, and hard work, and he genuinely cares about learning and helping others, making him an invaluable asset to our classroom community. We could not ask for a better student than Samuel. And I asked Samuel, even though he's just finished in sixth grade, what high school he wants to go to. He said he's already making plans to go to Sumner and to take his vacation in Canada this summer.
All right.
Congratulations, Samuel. Our high school student of the month, D'Angelo Mays, was not able to be with us today, but I still want to make sure that we acknowledge him. He is an 11th grade student coming from none other than Wyandotte High School.
All right. Bulldog.
He's being nominated by Assistant Principal Raz Concepcion. In my capacity as his assistant principal, I've had the privilege of witnessing D'Angelo's remarkable contributions and achievements. First and foremost, his exemplary attendance speaks volumes about his dedication and commitment to education. He has a 98% attendance rate, and he always comes to school with reliability and accountability, which sets a high standard for his peers. Academically, D'Angelo is nothing short of exceptional. He has a GPA of 4.11 and class rank of 4 out of 378. He successfully completed rigorous courses such as AP Computer Science and Honors English 2, showcasing that he has intellectual curiosity and capacity for academic rigor. Moreover, D'Angelo's service to the community is truly commendable. His active participation in after-school functions and volunteer work demonstrates his altruistic spirit and genuine desire to make a positive impact. Whether he's mentoring younger students or participating in community cleanup efforts, he always leads by an example and goes above and beyond. In addition to his academic and service, D'Angelo is also involved in extracurricular activities including robotics, basketball, football, and the National Honor Society. These experiences not only enrich his high school experience, but also showcase his leadership skills, teamwork, and dedication to personal growth and development. Congratulations, D'Angelo. Last but not least, we have a special student recognition also for a young lady from Wyandotte High School. I present to you Daniela Maldonado. During National Volunteer Week, the United Way of Greater Kansas City honored Daniela of Wyandotte High School as the Youth Volunteer of the Year for her service with the Learning Club, Harvesters, the choir at All Saints Parish, and participating in the Youth Homeless Conference alongside the Youth Homeless Summit. One of the aspects of the United Way of Greater Kansas City is to creatively deploy resources towards community betterment. In choosing a student, they look for a Volunteer of the Year that looks at long-term solutions that remove barriers to social and economic mobility so that everyone, regardless of identity, income, or background, have the opportunity and access to a life of purpose, passion, and prosperity. Teacher Chevette Dinkins remarks, Daniela is truly an exceptional representative for the Human and Public Service Academy at Wyandotte High School. Despite facing challenges with her peers' disengagement from a client-connected project, she continued to demonstrate resilience and perseverance by working with other student body members to complete the project. Her skill set is truly impressive. Daniela is a fierce advocate for honesty, community, and volunteering. As an example for her fellow students, she understands the importance of paying it forward and connecting with those who are less fortunate. Her commitment to serving our community is truly inspiring. We are proud to provide this special recognition to Daniela as an outstanding service agent and youth of USD 500, and thank her and her recommender, Chevette Dinkins, for the nomination. A special note about Daniela, she's working hard to get a car this summer, so if you have one to offer her, she's looking forward to it, and she's making plans to go to Donnelly to get her degree in applied sciences.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you, Dr. Sutherland, and congratulations again to all of our scholars and your families and our staff for the nominations. Before we take our pictures, we have a special recognition tonight as well. Dr. Campbell is at the podium for a special recognition tonight. Good evening, Dr. Campbell.
Good evening. Good evening, Board President Lopez, Vice President Ms. Drew, board members, Superintendent Dr. Anna Stubblefield, participating staff and audience. I am Dr. Judith Campbell, Deputy Superintendent, and I'm excited to introduce to you and celebrate KCKPS's Aspiring Principals Academy cohort. We're excited to say I'm trying to get to the next slide. Okay, here we go. We were not at the beginning, so let's try that again. All right. We have said good evening. Now we're going to move to our purpose. We're excited to say that the first cohort consisted of 10 KCKPS staff members that completed 7 courses, also known as episodes, beginning September 2023 and completed them May 2024. These courses directly align to KSDE's leadership state standards with the overall objective of developing leaders who are self-aware and prepared to transition into school-level leadership, who are team members, committed to bringing out the best in others, receptive to feedback, and capable of having courageous conversations. Additionally, the objective was to create a community of learners where participants would develop professional relationships and strengthen their leadership competencies as reflective practitioners through personal and collective growth. We at this time want to recognize 10 recipients and listen to what was one of their most challenging and one of their most rewarding things of the Aspiring Principals Academy. Our first recipient, Dr. Amber Block. Dr. Amber Block said that the KCKPS Aspiring Principal Academy was transformative experience. The most challenging part was stepping out of my comfort zone to tackle new leadership roles and complex issues such as budgeting equitably and identifying new ways to engage families and communities. However, this challenge was also the most rewarding. The mentorship from experienced principals and the collaborative projects with fellow aspiring leaders provided invaluable insight and inspired me to think critically and innovatively. Thank you. Ms. Amira Pugsley. Ms. Amira Pugsley, you're welcome. She stated that the most challenging aspect of the program was navigating the multifaceted demands of leadership training while maintaining her existing professional responsibilities. However, the intense nature of the program pushed me to stretch beyond my comfort zone, constantly adapt and develop new strategies to manage stress and workload effectively. The most rewarding part of the program was the profound personal and professional growth I experienced, engaging with a diverse cohort of aspiring leaders, providing a rich environment for collaboration and learning. The mentorship and feedback from experienced educators and leaders were invaluable, helping me to refine my leadership style and approach. Ms. Amira Pugsley. Carrie Tucker, please come on up. Carrie Tucker said the opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue with experienced leaders in education, as well as the opportunity to exchange perspectives with fellow aspiring principals, provided key insight and inspiration. Additionally, the sense of camaraderie among my peers fostered a sense of community. One of the biggest challenges of the Academy was navigating the complexities of being an educational leader in the field that is ever evolving and changing. From addressing issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to grappling with the realm of budgets, each one of the challenges I encountered helped to prepare me as a leader, both professionally and personally. Thank you. Jennifer Holt. Jennifer Holt said that the most challenging part of this program was learning about theories, which in the past has always been pretty easy. However, these experiences grounded in the mesh of broad theory and implementation within our district proved to be challenging, yet exactly what I needed. The most rewarding part of this program was having district-embedded mentors and peers to connect with and guide me in the process. Thank you, Ms. Tucker. The most challenging part of the program for Rihanna Brownlee was filling out the application to be a principal. She says, my dream was to always be an assistant principal, but never a principal. I thought I would just give the cohort a try, but keep my position. As I was filling out the application to be a principal, I could hear several voices of those who have impacted me thus far in my career telling me there's more in me than just an assistant principal, and I could be an amazing building leader. The most rewarding part of the program for me was the newfound relationships and seeing my growth and development over time. As I persevered through the challenges and pushed myself, I could see tangible improvements in my skills and knowledge. It was satisfying to see my hard work pay off in the form of positive feedback from those in the cohort and those presenting to us. Congratulations. Jennifer Bryan. One of Jennifer Bryan's challenges faced was the limited time to meet with staff to try some of the new items implemented and new strategies she learned based on the episodes. However, what was most rewarding was having the opportunity to network with other colleagues to push my thinking and help me grow as a leader. The episodes that were presented challenged me with a task that was relevant to helping me grow and expand my knowledge. Congratulations. Mr. Lamin Dambaya. Lamin Debayan's journey in education began 20 years ago here in KCKPS, and he's never looked back. He says in 2021, when I first considered becoming an assistant principal, I wasn't sure how to navigate the process, although I had always worked closely with our building administrators. My participation in the KCKPS Aspiring Principals Academy filled in the gaps for me. It guided me in the right direction and instilled a positive mindset to face upcoming challenges. The program's comprehensive content on instructional leadership, operational management, community engagement, and culturally responsible leadership has been invaluable. I now have supportive leaders and cohort peers throughout the district to lean on during tough times. The most challenging aspect of the academy was the assignments, as they were no longer than other theoretical exercises, but I had to figure out how to implement the practical tools in my role. Congratulations. Margie Ramirez. Ms. Ramirez is not here. However, what she said is that one of the most impactful aspects of the academy was to focus on the leadership standards and the practical application of these skills within our district. The program offered a closer look at how these standards are implemented in our schools, providing a clear understanding of the expectations and responsibilities of the principals within KCKPS. I am grateful for the support and the investment from our KCKPS Board of Education in providing such a valuable program. This experience has been incredibly rewarding, providing me with invaluable insight and skills that will greatly benefit my journey towards becoming an effective leader within our district. Despite the challenge of integrating the Academy's demand into an already full schedule, the learning opportunities and growth I experienced were well worth the effort. Mr. Lizelle Williams. Lizelle Williams stated he was grateful for the opportunity to learn from the talented educators and leaders from USD 500. It was challenging to step into the mindset of a building principal to set the vision, plan the budget, and consider how to implement an instructional framework, but it was worth it. I have been in many leadership preparation programs in my life, but this was the most comprehensive. I feel prepared to be successful as a principal in my next role. Thank you to the leadership and learning team and all the principals who invested in our future. Congratulations. Ms. Allie Rice. Allie Rice says the most challenging part of the Aspiring Principals Academy was learning how to recognize and celebrate the leadership skills I already possess. I'm often so admiring of the leadership of my colleagues and at times struggling to see myself in that same light. This program helped me to not only see my areas for growth, but also my areas of strength so I may see myself as a leader more clearly. The most rewarding part of this program was foregoing and strengthening connections with colleagues that I don't typically get to interact with on a regular basis. I've always felt one of the best parts of being a part of KCKPS is the supportive community, and this program reinforced my beliefs. Congratulations. I will conclude by saying Brene Brown said, "Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen." And Michelle Obama says, "You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own." The leadership and learning team is proud that these individuals were courageous and showed up to complete this academy. It is our hope that the new tools that have been added to your tool belt and that your current tools that you have been sharpened. Please help me again in congratulating the 2023-2024 Aspiring Principals Academy cohort. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell, and again, congratulations to that cohort for all the work that you've put in. We're going to take a brief recess, around 12 minutes, so we can take some pictures with our scholars and our employees of the month, and we will come back here to get started with our meeting again shortly after. Thank you. take some photos with our scholars, our Employee of the Month, and our aspiring principal cohort. That was great to hear. And again, I'll just give a shout out to our board members and all of our staff who help with that as well. I know you put in a lot of time and effort to make that happen, so thank you to the entire team for that. So again, congratulations to everyone. We'll continue with our agenda. Next up is our community comment section. And just a reminder, everyone is welcome to sign up for comment. Our policy is to please sign up no later than noon on the Monday before the board meeting. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Just make sure you're checked in with the board clerk before or sometime after, so we have a way to contact you. You don't need to give your phone number or address when you're at the podium, but just let's make sure we have it. State your name, and then your time will start as soon as you begin speaking. You have 3 minutes to address the board. And so with us tonight, I would invite Ms. Jamia Warren.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Hello, my name is Jamia Warren. I have been a part of the Kansas Public Schools School District for the last 8 years. I originally started here in HR as an assistant. My last few years, well, 7 years, have been with the Kansas Public Schools Police Department. Last time I did appear from you guys, it was actually a moment of happiness for me. I was Employee of the Month. I am actually not here tonight as an employee. I am here as an advocate of my community. I was born and raised in Wyandotte County, former student in Washington High School. I'm an aunt, I'm a cousin to a lot of the students here in the school district. A lot of my friends, their kids go here as well. I'm taking this opportunity to express my deep apprehension regarding a pressing matter that has been affecting our education system. When I did originally become hired with the police department, I was actually happy to be a part of something that was keeping our kids safe. The motto, what I seen from my friends that were police officers, it was just exuberated in their actions, the way they talk to kids, the mentoring, the compassion that they have every day. However, in the last year, about a year and a half, we have transformed from protecting our students to policing our students. I have made this aware to Chief Nicholson. I had also made this aware to HR investigators. I also informed Dr. Stubblefield, and I even sent emails to the board to making them aware of the involvement of law enforcement in student discipline and how it has now created a new Diploma Plus program unexpectedly. This program is unexpectedly emerging because not only will our students receive their diploma, they are most likely to graduate with a criminal charge than they are to be with college credits, which is very sad. While I do acknowledge the crucial role that teachers, principals, and school administrators play in maintaining a safe and conducive learning environment, I have bear witness to numerous cases of school policing. We now have more students graduate with criminal records than we do actual training program certifications. The presence of law enforcement in school and the resulting school-to-prison pipeline representation significantly challenges our children from receiving equitable and supportive educational environments. We are inadvertently enabling our children to become participants in modern forms of exploitation, which may impede their development into becoming productive adults. Does anyone here know the definition of New Age slavery? That's what we're doing here. New Age slavery is a modern form of systematic exploitation and control that imbalance impact our marginalized groups, leading to conditions that closely resemble historical slavery. KCK public school students are receiving criminal charges such as battery on LEO, aggravated battery on LEO, assault, and theft, just to name a few. New Age slavery manifests through school-to-prison pipeline, which effectively tracks young students, especially our students from Wyandotte County, that already come from disadvantaged backgrounds. I bear witness to elementary kids. It was a prank one time. I believe a student was only 8 years old. She had pranked a kid, something she watched on TikTok, by putting a little bit of sanitizer into a drink. And the officer came back to the department and said he was considering putting charges on her because the mom wanted her to be charged for manslaughter on an 8-year-old.
Ms. Warren, I'm sorry, we're at time.
I'll be back again. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. And as always, I would just remind our team that someone from our leadership team will follow up with everyone from community comment and then have a report back out to the board as well for any follow-up. So thank you. Thank you again, Ms. Warren. Next on our agenda, we have reached our consent agenda. I know we are setting aside item B, board, from our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda minus item B?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session for, to discuss matters of personnel for 10 minutes, going in at 5:58, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Dr. Campbell, Ms. Devon, and Mr. Lilly?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Thank you. Motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Second. I'll second. Any questions or discussion? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the HR report and recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or other questions? Hearing none. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, we are now on agenda item 5, board updates and approvals. These items have come before us at least one time and are back for potential action if it is the will of the board and for questions if you have any. First on our agenda, it's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education accept the bid from CNC Produce in the amount of $1,427,248 for produce vendor for the 24-25 school year in accordance with the requirements board policy DJED, estimated by Mr. Correll, Mr. Lilly, and recommended by Dr. Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there questions or discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item, item B, it's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the purchase from Nextran Truck Centers in the amount of $49,500 as submitted by Mr. Correll, Mr. Lilly, and recommended by Dr. Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion?
Question.
Yes, Ms. Page.
What kind of warranty? I just saw it said warranty, and I apologize. I didn't send the question earlier.
Well, that's all right. I see Mr. Clemens coming to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. We are actually, with that purchase price, purchasing an additional 200,000-mile warranty.
Just asking, and if you don't know, what's the lifespan of these kind of trucks?
You know, I'd hate to like put it into terms of, but we should get, we're pretty comfortable we're going to get an extended life out of this. It's, you know, diesel Cummins, a Cummins diesel engine, excuse me. So, yeah, we think we should be getting 300 or more.
Okay, and then what's the price of a new truck?
Oh,
I never heard that mentioned, but I was just, I mean, it has 168,000.
it does have 168,000 miles, that's right, which is why we wanted a 200,000 additional mile warranty. New truck, I did look, found some on the West Coast for about 120 up to about $180,000.
Okay, I was just looking at the miles on it, and I was just wondering.
Well,
you
I
know, we
made sure
never
I asked
saw-
my, yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
don't mean to interrupt you there, yeah.
No, I was just, looking at the mileage on it, and then you just said we'd only get a $200,000 warranty, and that's only about 131,000 more miles. And that's why I asked, what was the?
200,000 on top of what it already has. It's a
Oh,
200,000
top.
additional,
Okay, I thought you were
yes.
just saying you,
No.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Nguyen.
And I always ask this question, and I haven't looked at, I think you submitted us something about.
Yes, ma'am.
The plan. How many trucks are ready for the graveyard? Are we getting rid of any? This is the second one we purchased within the last, month? The meeting we had at Welborn, we were purchasing one, or is this the same one?
This
This
is
same
the
one.
same
Same
one.
one.
That, yeah, that was the informational
So
item, yeah.
One truck we purchased.
One truck we're purchasing now. We do have on the list, there's another one that we really need to replace. That's actually a rental at the storeroom. But the others, we're squeezing miles out of them. I would say that's the really next high priority one to list. We do have several, like you say, in our boneyard now that we will be disposing of.
Right.
Yeah.
So we never have a trade-in?
I'm sorry?
We never have a trade-in?
The ones we are going to dispose of have, the engines are blown, that sort of thing, so we're not going to get much value out of
So
those.
they go to pick
Yeah.
and pull, huh?
We'll do
Parts?
the bid process. I can't think of it. Gov deals? Yeah. Auction, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. A question. You said in the weekly update, I thought it said there are 3 rentals.
No,
There's 2 rentals.
2, including this one, yeah.
And is the other rental from Enterprise?
No.
Where are you rented?
It's another Penske truck.
It's another Penske truck.
Mm-hmm.
So what is our, I think I lost track somewhere. What is our resolve for no longer renting truck?
Well, I'll have to talk to Mr. Lilly, see where our budget is when we roll over to the new budget year, and then we'll be in a search for a replacement for that truck.
So does rental fall in your budget under?
Yes.
Emergency, or what is,
No, we have it in, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly which budget line it's in there, but we do have it in there.
okay, the rental, the long-term rental of a truck?
Yes.
Just ballpark, sorry. How much a month does it cost you to rent?
$600 a week.
Okay, so you're paying almost 2,000?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we want to get rid of those. I don't typically like to rent or lease vehicles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been renting that truck?
I'm sorry, I don't remember
A
that.
long time?
It's a while, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's not a reflection of you, but that's not okay.
I understood. I understand, yeah.
So, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Additional questions? There's a motion and a second on the floor. Ms. Smith, roll call.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, no.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item, it is recommended that Kansas City, Kansas.
Or Lopez.
Yes. Ms.
Before we move on, do we need to make a motion? What do we need to do to not be renting trucks? This, like, nothing sits not well with me, then that is not a good fiscal use of our funds. In a 12-month period, that's almost half the cost of the vehicle we're purchasing right now. So what does the team need from us? Is it contingency? What is it that we need to not be renting vehicles?
But I thought we heard it sometime. Am I confusing information where they could not find a truck? Is this the same situation? Maybe that's how we ended up in this situation.
Sorry, and I might have missed that.
And I could be wrong.
Well, as he's coming, remember, we rent vehicles to take kids to practice, too. So there's more than one type of rental that is ridiculous. That's a $10,000 cost.
Especially on ongoing long-term needs. That's where I think you just caught me off guard, and not that you intentionally did, but just, that's not okay.
Oh, and I agree 100%, I really do. And the issue is, particularly for this truck that we're voting on tonight, that was the issue, is trying to find a truck in the Kansas City vicinity.
On this truck? On this truck?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
But the other truck, is it we just
Yeah, well, and that same thing, we need to look for it, and I can't say that we've searched.
even
for-
explored
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So to your question, Ms. Russell, like what is I would look to staff to kind of form
It
what is
doesn't
the
have to be
process?
right.
Right.
I want to be clear, but I think if we have ongoing utilization needs of trucks or vehicles to transport students, we need to be having that bigger conversation, because all we're doing is giving money to someone else.
Right. So I will say,
and Mr. Lilly is checking. I'm not aware, since we added the van, since I've been here, of us renting vehicles to transport students to practice, but we'll look into that. So I don't know if this occurred within
No,
the last,
it's been since you were here.
okay, we'll look into it.
Do you really need
Maybe
a
the
motion?
clarification would be to also the renting of vehicles when we're doing out-of-town travel, because I think that's what I hear about, is us renting vehicles if people are going to like Wichita, and maybe that's the differing in conversations.
So I'll look into it. When people are in a different state and it's very limited and it goes through the process, we rarely allow staff to rent vehicles. If somebody was traveling with students and we can't send students, like take an Uber, we get reimbursement, it could have been a case if they were traveling for some sort of competition or something. But we'll pull the information and provide an update of what has been rented and when regarding that. But to go to Wichita, they typically will reserve the vehicles that we have to go.
Not if there's a conflict with another team having a vehicle. So if I'm basketball and we have something in town and I have to take the kids, but then debate has something out of town.
So that's what we'll
Okay,
pull, yeah.
okay.
I'm not making a motion, but can we ask that they investigate and see how much the trucks would cost or where we can find? I'm not asking them to do it tomorrow, but within a month or two, come back and give us an update. Where are the trucks available and where are the trucks affordable?
Trucks that they're looking to replace and,
Because it seems like we're gonna need some, and that's, it just doesn't make sense to rent and then to pay all this money for a used truck.
yes, and I saw Doug nodding his head yes back there, and heard Dr. Stubblefield said, I think we're going to look into the process and what that is to rent both long-term vehicles and trucks, and then if we're for student use and where we're at with all those processes and kind of get a handle of what that looks like, and then also get some of that follow-up information. So saw Doug nod his head. We should get that. Thank you. Okay. Next on our agenda, Board, it is recommended that the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the 3-year purchase of the Goodhart Wilcox Comprehensive Health Skills for High School Resource for the new health course as submitted by Mr. Amaya, Dr. Fernandez Flores, Dr. Judith Campbell, and recommended by Dr. Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion?
Mr. Lopez.
Yes, Ms. Russell.
A question. Do the new graduation requirements need to come to the board for board approval? We had one discussion, we talked about it, but we haven't seen it since. But then we're approving a resource.
I think you did approve the graduation requirements when it was presented, but I can go back and double check. But I think because it's required by KSDE, so you did. My recollection is when it was shared, it was approved. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And
I don't recall, because I remember that meeting I had a hesitation because the board talked about what we wanted to see in a graduate. I brought up the conversation around community service and civic engagement. And I remember at that meeting being told, we're gonna go back, we'll look at it, we'll talk about it, and we'll come back. Maybe I wasn't present at the meeting, so it did get approved, but if someone could find the date.
yeah,
the
we
meeting?
can verify.
Okay, thank you.
January 23rd. And so the graduation requirements specifically, the ones that,
When the names changed?
when the 2028 cohort credits changed, that happened this year with the state.
Which is separate than when you brought back the information about the topics being called something else?
Are you referring to the state assets, maybe?
No, I'm rich, because you called, it went from health science, like the PEs went from PE to called something else.
Yeah, those are the state changes. So PE health, for example,
Okay,
was
I'll go
embedded
back.
in PE currently, and now it's separate. And the state made that decision.
Thank you. Additional questions? If we can get confirmation on that. There are no other questions. Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next item, item D, it's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the purchase of Too Good for Drugs and Too Good for Violence kits for each school counselor as submitted by Ms. Chauvin, Dr. Wilson, Dr. Campbell, and recommended by Dr. Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion on this item, Board? Ms. Russell?
Nope.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Our next agenda item, Board, it's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education accept the MOU between USD 500 and the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas for a Sumner Field as submitted by Mr. Carell, Mr. Lilly, and recommended by Dr. Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion on this item?
I've got a
Yes,
question.
Dr. Nguyen?
I don't know who to ask this. I'll ask you, Dr. Stubblefield. With this new, I'll call it stormwater sewer replacement, are there any other, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask, I said to ask you, but I'm looking at him. I'll ask him. Are there any other points of impact of Douglas or Sumner based on the waterway corridor repairs?
Doug is coming.
Do you know what I'm asking you? Somewhat. Okay. Laser versions, the stormwater pipes and the sewer pipes are going to be replaced.
Yes.
They're going to be replaced first.
Rerouted around to the
Correct.
east side of the field,
And they're going to
yes.
be rerouted first in the waterway corridor. That is from Waterway to Jersey Creek. And it appears it may impact Douglas and Sumner. I don't know any other schools that we would have in that corridor. Are you familiar with this? Are we going to
I
be
know they've
impacted?
talked, I'm sorry, I can't say that I really am completely familiar with what you're talking about. I know they're
Yeah.
working on those areas down there. I'm not aware of any impacts.
Okay.
Not, I wouldn't say directly correlated to the sanitary sewer pipes that are under the field. other
Oh,
than there
Douglas
are-
being on Washington Boulevard is something's going to impact there,
Okay,
for sure. Something to find out. So
yeah,
perhaps
I'll make a note.
make a note. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Additional questions?
And then I have another one.
Yes, Dr. Nguyen.
So when do we get a, you or Mr. Lilly or whomever, Dr. Stubblefield, an update on what we're going to do at Sumner, the district, besides the pipes?
Are you saying in regards to the field?
Yeah.
Doug or Steve can answer. I think, yeah, Doug or Steve can answer that.
I think when we get the MOU done, we'll, concentrate on their time frame, and then we'll have to resubmit bids and everything to get to work on that, because the timeframes of the original bid are going to be potentially different prices than before.
Okay, so am I to understand you saying, get the pipes done first, and then phase
We're
two?
going to have that real mapped out time frame first.
Okay.
We don't want to put it out for RFP again and be in a position where we can't meet the deadlines of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
If somebody can find it for me, I greatly appreciate it. Going back to my other comment, I am happy to make a motion, but I would like to find the correct information. The last time we had a Diploma Plus update was on April 9th. And when I go from January 23rd to now, I'm not finding that document. I'm not finding it in the minutes where the board approved the graduation requirement. So I'm just putting it on the record that I have asked for it. I'm not finding it. I was told January 23rd. I went to the board meeting. There isn't even an agenda item on January 23rd. And the last time that I see the board receive the update was April 9th. So thank you.
So the board approved the current graduation requirements on February 21st, 2023. When the state changed their requirements, it did not impact what the board is requiring. It just changed the name of some specific courses that students had to take, but it does not change the fact that the board approved that tiered system in 2023. It's when
But it requires more market assets.
I'm going to, just really quick, and I'm sorry, just only because we do have a motion and a second on the floor, so I'm going to shift this back to finish out the
thought we
vote.
finished it.
No, we were in discussion, so let's just finish out the vote so we can continue with conversation on this agenda item, and then maybe that'll give time to kind of clarify to your question, Ms. Russell. Sorry to interrupt. If there are no other questions on the MOU for Sumner,
Excuse me.
Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes?
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll go back to make sure that we are finding the correct, and I think somebody was going to say something. Dr. Campbell?
Dr. Campbell was coming. I was just saying, when the state changed the requirements, what we did was provide an update to the board about the changes. It did not require board action to change our current requirements, because our current requirements, the way that they are laid out, fits within what the state is saying. It just changes what courses students have to do, and the fact that they all have to have, starting with this 8th grade class, what are they called? Student access or post-secondary assets.
Remind me that date that you said we did that,
So,
February something?
so I would, yes,
Because
and I apologize.
the board documents around the policy around graduation requirements are different than what we're now saying are the graduation requirements on the basis of the 3 different. If I'm not understanding what we're doing,
The only thing my apologies, I want to clarify, as it relates to the graduation requirements policy IHF, that was approved for a 4th read on February 14th, 2023.
So to clarify, I do want to say, and I can't remember, this may be contributing to some of the confusion, we had to bring it back because there was some language that was not aligning with what actually was in the policy, like we had to bring it back to clean it up, but I don't know if that was the February date or if that was after the February date. I remember we had to bring it back. And we did bring it back with the new language. Hopefully what's in board docs is reflective of because that's what happened,
but if we're changing language, we would need a motion from the board that changes the language.
Right, but I'm
What
saying
are-
that was separate from what they did this spring. This was all like when we changed it to the tiered components. So I understand why you might be confused, but we can go back and pull all of that information. Because if you go back and look, it was brought, and then we had to bring it back, and that was the fourth read, because typically there's 3 reads, and that's why it came back for the fourth read, because the third read language and what was written somewhere didn't match up, so we brought it back to clean it up for the fourth read. And so that was the last time we brought it forth.
There's no questions on that. We can follow up, and I've made a note on this to follow up on getting clarity on the requirements and where that is, and making sure that the correct approved policy and process is in board docs available for folks. Okay. We will continue with our next agenda item, Board Agenda Item 6. These are new business items up for information purposes tonight. No action is being requested, but if you have any questions, we can certainly ask our staff. First item is the RFP for refuse collection and disposal services. Are there any questions on this item?
Does this have anything to do with the UG and their plan to change the pickup for people in the communities that you have to pay? You get the first can free, and then the second one you have to pay, and so on. And how does that impact us? Is this why we're coming with this?
Mr. Clemens, coming to the mic.
Okay.
No, the answer to that would be no. This is our normal bid process. We put this out every 5 or 6 years. And so it's just time for us to put a bid out for trash pickup.
So what they would say wouldn't affect us as a district. It's just something that we would normally do. But I know that's what they're pushing in the county and the city to do. So I didn't know if we were impacted by that.
I'll have to make another note. I don't really know how or if that impacts commercial type bins like this. Yeah.
Additional questions on this item, Board? Next item is the solicitation of proposals for vape and sound detection solution for high schools and middle schools. Are there questions on this item? Board? Yes, Ms. Russell?
There are no supporting documents, and one of the responses to my questions was regarding a settlement, and it says we're going to use a portion, but there was no dollar figures in the information item. So if we could have that information and what percentage of the settlement dollars you're asking to utilize, that would be great. It doesn't have to be provided now, but unless I missed the document about where the cost.
So we don't know the cost because we're soliciting bids, but in the question, we can use for some of them, they require a certain, a match or those kind of things. Is that correct? So we don't know the cost because we haven't gotten the bids yet. The total amount of the settlement was in the.
I apologize. Is the settlement different than the COPS, which is the second item?
So the first item is part of the COPS grant, and it would be.
So the solicitation is a part of the COPS grant?
Correct. So the RFP would be for the vape sensing equipment, and the COPS grant would allow us to get $500,000 max in order to fund this project. The Juul settlement, we received $227,000, which would cover our portions, and our portion would be 25% of.
So you're asking the board to use all of that settlement for that?
If you choose to do so, we would put it all to use, and that would cover our portion of the 25% of the 500,000.
Not a reflection of you, but the conversation I thought we had was around education with those dollars. So I just want to make sure that, and this is where I just get thrown off, is we're moving in different lanes. When we talked about it, we talked about education, and Ms. Clark was actually the one who advocated for those educational sessions. And so now we're going a different direction and saying we're going to utilize the dollars for this. And I think that's where, when I asked the question, I asked with this intention because I wanted to make sure we need a lot of education in our community around the settlement. And I also understand devices, but I also people have no idea what's going on right now. And that's what gives me pause to putting all of our eggs in one basket. And so I'm not trying to speak for you, but I also remember that conversation.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear that that's what Chief is saying, if that was the desire. If we got the grant, we do not have to use all of it. It is 25% of it. The max is $500,000. If you do the math, 50% of that is $250,000. So mathematically, we would not be able to use all of that. That's assuming that we got the full grant. A portion could be used towards that, but a portion has to be used for education. So I'm just clarifying that right now, we're just saying we're going to go out for solicitation and you're not committing any dollars. And before we did, we would come back with that.
I respect that response. I could use the NFL list grant as an example of how these things come to be, though. We say that's not what we're going to do, but then we end up needing all of the money in the end. And I just don't want that to happen here. I don't want you to solicit something and then the board be like, well, we really wanted to spend this on education. Meanwhile, you're going out there asking for the whole world. That is my intention, not a reflection of you, but that is how I feel in this moment. And that is just me as Rachel.
I do have I actually had a separate question around this. And I thought about a better word, but I don't have one. So just excuse the words that I'm going to use. I'm concerned about how we're maybe piecemealing our detection system together. I'm not in the same line of business as you, but we have our metal detectors in the front, and now we would have a separate detector.
So these look like a smoke detector, and they go into restrooms and locker rooms, and they detect
Okay.
Nicotine, THC, any attempt to mask it. They detect smoke. They detect many different things versus the X-ray machines or metal detectors, what you're referring to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that piece. So I think the next thing that I would want to know at some point is, we talk a lot about discipline, and this would be something like, where does that fall? I would want at some point, and I know I can look at the graph and I can see where it falls and how the student would be handled if they're caught in the restroom. But one thing I know I've talked to Dr. Wilson about several times is around being able to provide, and I think we've talked too, being able to provide those services to those students. It's one thing to say, don't do that, but clearly, and as it's been outlined here, it's a very addictive behavior. So I think at some point, we're gonna have to think about the wraparound services for, we caught you in the bathroom, we know that it's very addictive, how can we help you further to be able to move you forward? So that's to me, once we get the service, great, but how do we help the student?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that goes for the fentanyl car. I know we've talked about a lot of those different things. Thank you.
Thank you both. So what also might be helpful, just to wrap this around, is, the board did discuss using part of the funds for education awareness around these pieces, like having an idea of what that might look like moving forward, in addition to if we were going to use part of it for the grant. So just having a broader picture of what does that education awareness piece look like, and the vape sensors and any other piece of it, I think just gives the board a more complete picture. To Ms. Clark's point about piecemealing, if we had the whole picture, we might have a better idea. So, thank you. Additional questions on this item? I'm sorry, Ms. Page.
Oh, he wants that. Does he have any data where they are using it in other places? If we could get that, if they could show if they do have an educational piece, and then how it works, and what's been the impact from them using it, if we could get some data.
I do not have any of that data, but I'd be glad to get it for you.
Yeah, and see, is it two parts? Is there an educational piece? And if we use this system, how did it work in other places? And what's going on?
Dr. Nguyen.
We talk a lot, but it goes back to, unless you are clear with a directive, then, I'm sitting here, and you may want an educational piece, but we haven't said specifically, we want to see the components of the educational piece. So, Dr.
So
Stubblefield doesn't
I'm
know
just
what.
being clear, the settlement requires an education piece. So if I recall right, we don't have a choice around that unless I'm remembering wrong.
No, it did. I think what Dr. Wynn's saying, though, she'd like to see, well.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, so where is it? You know, have we asked for it?
And see, I guess my statement is more around the addictive behavior and how are we providing the resources to the
I
student?
understand what you're
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
Take the next step. What do you want to see?
So, and you can, but I do want to be clear, we do provide education to the students now through our partnership with First Call. I can't recall there's curriculum, we've shared this information previously with the board, so there are education components currently in what we do. What we could talk about is what is the additional education, but I just don't want it to be here that we are not providing any sort of education in those components now, because we do with our First Call partnership in that area, and we do with some of the curriculum that the students get through FA. Like, there is a education component, and we can share that information again.
Dr. Stubblefield, I appreciate that, and I know that you all have shared it before. I just wanted to, like, vocally, that's where my real concern comes from. And then more of, like, we provide the education, we have what's there, how effective is it? I just think, I'm not looking for any action at this
Okay,
point.
fine.
So,
So have we met then that requirement, Dr. Stubblefield? Have we met the requirement of the whatever, settlement?
We have not allocated any of the settlement money for anything at this point. I was just saying baseline, there is some education that we already have. What we can do is look at what we currently offer and then see what would be the next phase or additional components, and we can bring that back. Yeah, we haven't dispersed any of the settlement money at this point.
Okay.
I
Mylan.
have a question. All we're circumventing, what we're talking around discussing here, and what Ms. Clark is saying, I understand what she's saying. Is there documentation on what we need, what we do? How do we handle this when we come to when that situation arises? Where do we go from here? Instead of just talking about it or suggesting what should happen, is there something written, protocol-wise, documented that we follow? That's my question.
For when students are
Yeah.
vaping? Yeah, yeah, we
Okay.
follow our code of
In
conduct.
written.
Yes, yeah, like, our current processes are written in our code of conduct, and then they do look, and yes, and if there's space for improvement, it is, but they do look at the cases based off where the students are, they nuance from there on what is needed.
Okay, and second part of that, are we consistent, since it is documented? Consistency is so key when we have these situations, mind you. That's my opinion.
So here's what I would say,
When issues arise.
Yeah, so here's what I'm saying, depending on what you define as consistent, some students need so I will not say every situation is handled in the same manner, because it depends on certain components of who the student is. Do they have certain things in place? Are we aware that they are addicted to drugs? Like, we handle those. So baseline, we have the processes, but you have to be able to nuance based off what the student needs. So every situation is not handled the same, and some of the inconsistency where it is like based on just human error, we can correct that, but some of the inconsistency has to do with who that student is and what we know about that student and what may be in their, anything from their 504 to their IEP to their behavior plan. So all of those things are factor in when you're navigating situations with students.
That makes sense, and I'm aware of that. Each case is, nothing's absolute, and there could be the first time offender, second time, third, whatever. So I understand that. Thank you for explaining that. Okay.
So I think I'm trying to think of how to create a motion without having the document in front of me. Similar to how we treat truancy, I think before I'm willing to make an investment or say I'm on board, it would be similar to how we treat truancy. You're caught, you go to this class, we work towards those intentional solutions. What I feel like the code of conduct, even with all of the edits and all of the things we've done, continues to be a very subjective based response. And I'm just going to call a spade, depending on who is the building administrator. That is where a lot of our issues lie, is there's so much subjectiveness right there based on who is in charge. And so I think to Ms. Clark's point about making sure there's some type of checkpoint, check-in, and even if it's the first time, it's a verbal warning, the second time you're doing it, like there are those steps for truancy. So what would it look like for us to create that type of process and educational component during the school day, outside of the school day? I'm trying to not get into the weeds of what that would look like, but I'm trying to be solution oriented in how I can ensure that the expectation that I have around addressing the vaping issues that we have don't continue to be harmful to the rest of the student population, i.e. locking bathroom doors. So I think that's where I'm trying to take the subjectiveness out of it, but really move towards a solution that addresses my expectations for what it is I'm looking for. I heard you when you talked about First Call, but that is a resource that I believe we've been told multiple times has just like gotten back up since COVID. And so I'm just trying to figure out where we are with those types of things and the tangible outcomes that those programs are actually having for our students. Because if I remember, it's like a resource that's used once in a classroom and it doesn't come back until the next year when you're in a different grade. So just my thoughts.
But the reality, who's paying for this? I get what you're saying. We want to help, but bottom line is budget. And they're only going to do so much. And we have to be realistic about that. I'm not saying don't help, but you can only do so much. And that, from what I heard at the fentanyl thing, yeah, they offer, but they don't offer as much as you want to try to offer, because somebody got to pay for that. We're struggling now with a budget. I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything, but you got to be realistic in how far you can go with it.
I agree, but I also, if we're not going to do it well, then I'd rather us not do it at all.
Okay,
because
but
it's only more harmful.
all I'm asking is keep in mind.
I hear you.
That you can't pay for everything. And you're right. If we're going to do it right. All I'm just saying, remember, we can't pay for everything. You can offer something, try to get as much as you can, but at some point, and it's a sad reality, you may have to pay for it yourself. The school, we have some things, and then you refer out, and that may not be the best thing, because we don't have the budget.
Good conversation, thank you, and I don't want to cut anyone off. I think what would be helpful, again, and just to circle back board, and if there's something I miss, and as part of this conversation, what does that education currently look like? And I know we just approved the Too Good for Drugs, which includes some tobacco education awareness pieces, components to it as well. So I think if we could get like that big picture, what's that education currently look like, the process to Mr. Mylan, maybe it's just referring to the code of conduct, and I think the conversation about how do we equitably implement that and in a consistent way, and then as it pertains to the potential grant and use of dual dollars for that, what would that look like? So again, getting that broader, bigger picture view of the education, the awareness we're creating, the education we're doing with students, the implementation for other means. So I think just if we could get that, I think as this comes back for potential action, I think that would be helpful for the board.
Will do.
Thank you. And as additional questions come up, board, please submit those to Dr. Stubblefield. If there are no other questions on that particular item, The next agenda item is 6C, is the application for the KSDE Safe and Secure Schools Grant. I know it says approved, but I don't believe we're actually approving anything today. It's for information today for this to come back. Are there any questions on this particular item?
I just wanted to notate point number 3 says new school resource officers. I apologize. I feel like the last time you were up here, you were telling us that you were fully staffed. So are these additions?
That's correct. We are fully
These are
staffed.
red
We would
shirts.
not, these are for new positions. We would not be asking for money to fill any positions in our police department. This would be for technology only.
The list just shows what the possibilities are, and then we would come back with what we were asking for. It doesn't mean that we will be asking for all, yeah. No, you're fine.
Question. All right. Additional questions on this item? Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it there, and I know he's just introducing it. What can the money be spent on? If we could have that information?
It's,
I
in-
don't
I'm
think
sorry,
I
it's in
see
the
it in here.
explanation portion of it.
The part that has in bold.
The options are infrastructure, technology, communication, along with new school resource officer positions and AED, machines, automated external defibrillators. We're just putting it in front of you because once it's out there and we say, here's what we can build in our budget and do, when we bring it back, it will be something in these categories. What Chief Nicholson is saying is we will not be asking for new school officer positions when we do submit the grant. That's not something we're asking for.
Well, my concern is still Wyandotte, which has 2,000, and I was told, based on the population, you had to have so many officers.
Let's see, let me show you.
I'm not aware of any rule that says how many officers you have to have in a school based on the population. We try to assign more officers to schools that have larger populations, but there's no law or rule that I'm familiar with that says X amount of students equals X amount of officers.
So you're saying there is no law?
I'm saying I'm not aware of one. There may be one that I'm not aware of, but I don't know of any law that states that there is a requirement that you have so many SROs per student.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay, board, our next agenda item, item number 7, this is up for board discussion today. This is a continuation from a conversation from our budget discussion that we had last Friday. And there are a few attachments here. I know it's titled Finance Committee, but there are a few items that we wanted to bring forward to discuss. And the first item is the document titled Under $20,000 Purchases, which provides some language around promoting and increasing local and underutilized vendors, diverse vendors and such. So hopefully you had a chance to review that. Our staff was working based on questions that were brought up from the board around some of these policies or processes that we have to promote local business and diverse purchases, diverse buying from diverse vendors. So I will open it up, or Dr. Nguyen, if you have anything else that you wanted to share.
Can I invite Mr. Carell, come on up? And he's a Trojan, trust us. First, thank Mr. Lopez and Ms. Clark and the Finance Committee for hard work. This under 20,000 purchase has been approved by the committee, submitted to the board, has had a first read. And so this will be a second read of this, and I would like to make a motion to add the board, the objectives and action plan draft as an addition to the under 20,000 purchase, because they are directly related. So I make that motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, and for clarity, the motion is to add the objectives and action plans draft.
As an addendum to the under 20, because they're both related. And then this would be for a second read.
Well, there's a motion and a second. I will open it up for discussion or questions from the board.
Okay, so let me introduce this. Mr. Currell, the first document is, as I say, the Finance Committee has already reviewed this, wordsmithed it to death. And so then the second file stemmed from other communications, myself, Ms. Russell, others, and you'll notice if you open that, let me back up. Everything we're doing is consistent with the board handbook. So keep that in mind, that we've never gone outside the realm of what the board budget finance responsibilities are, nor have we, I think Mr. Lopez asked this in another, it's not a solution looking for a problem. It is just an attempt to, not an attempt, it is for transparency and accountability. So if you open up the next document, it has first 9 questions that we, other board members discussed. I presented to Mr. Currell, and from that, he presented a action plan. That is what that is, that if you want to enhance oversight of those items, of those dollars spent below 20,000, this is how he suggested the department would do. And so that's what the larger document is. And so that's, you want to make some comments and then
Well, the first document that you have at the under 20 purchase for the underutilized and local businesses, those are, it's basically, since we're decentralized in our purchasing efforts, departments make their purchases, the schools make their purchases, we're providing standards to them to follow, when they're making their purchases. And that's what this document is. And I suggest that this should go into the purchasing manual, once we arrive upon the final. And then that would be their guide as they're preparing, getting their quotes and things like that. And
Mr. Corella, I just want to make sure we're all talking about the same page.
Yeah,
Are you
it's
talking about the underutilized and local?
the under 20 purchases, underutilized local businesses. That's the one I'm talking about. Like I said, it would be the standard for the purchasers in the district, and it should be part of the purchasing manual when they're gathering their quotes. When they're trying to determine who the best vendor is. One of the things that we had in there, we have vendor identification and vendor outreach. We'll maintain a vendor list for our users to look at to see if they can find something here locally, and if they can't, that they can come to me and ask the question, and I'll try to find something for them. There's just a whole bunch of different things that we can do in this outline to help our purchasers. So if you would read this over, the under 20 purchases, underutilized local businesses, and see if it meets with what you all want to do. And, I'm open for suggestions too.
And then the second file that is, it's March 1st, the 9 questions came then from a further discussion on that document, as well as working with members of the local Kansas City, Kansas Chamber about local vendors. And you'll see those 9 questions just talk about supporting locals, how do we do more business with locals, how do we, and probably the part that gets really dicey is how do you address consultants? And while these purchases do not need prior approval by state law, They do, some of us believe, not a solution looking for a problem, but one that allows more transparency and more accountability. So there you go.
Yeah.
So for clarity, I do just want to make sure. So the first under 20,000 document, that was, the Finance Committee did review that, and we did approve to bring that forward to the board.
We already had a first read.
Correct. The second document, however, was not approved by the Finance Committee. We looked at it, discussed it, so it did not come as a recommendation from Finance. It came, it's coming to the full board for discussion. So I just wanted to be clear that that is not being recommended by the, it did not get the opportunity to be voted up or down within Finance Committee to be recommended or not. My hesitancy with the,
But it
well,
is the motion on the floor, and we're discussing.
correct,
It is an
correct.
addition to then the one, that,
Correct.
and it will be for a second read.
well, that is the motion. I would have a clarifying question for Mr. Goheen on if that would need, if this would need a different, since the other ones already had a first read, this one has not. Can this actually be adopted for a second read today if it were the will of the board? But my hesitation to this document under Proposal 1 is the additional oversight for purchases, and I don't want to say oversight, but I think we could be adding some unintended consequences for purchases between the 10 to 20,000 mark. Current policy already gives the district and the superintendent the opportunity to approve purchases under 20,000. So my question, my hesitation is, where it says Proposal 1, does this get us too far into A, going against our own policy, or B, just adding some additional levers that aren't necessarily, that aren't needed, that may slow down some of the day-to-day work of our staff? So that's my hesitation with that first proposal. And then I agree, some of the language that we're looking at and adopting that came from the chamber and from some other, like, I think there are pieces that we can take from some of the other proposals on the questions to add to the language that's already in our purchasing policy. But that would be my hesitation on this proposal, is that it then adds an extra layer to Wayne or to Brad or to Doug or to Dr. Stubblefield and the teams to have to go through these additional steps before we can approve something that's already in policy that we can approve under 20,000.
Right. Well, what I had on there was that there wouldn't be any kind of approval, on the 10 to 20. So we'd maintain our current situation. What we'd be able to do is to report to you what we've spent in the 10 to 20 range.
But don't we already get that when we approve
When you
any
approve the
purchases, when
payables,
we
you get it
approve
when we
all of
pay
that,
the
we
bill.
already get those reports, correct?
Yes.
So-
This would give you, visibility to PO or requisitions that have been entered in the 10 to 20 range.
Sure.
So the only other thing, oh, go ahead, Rachel.
So I hear you, Randy, but I guess the document that the board got in quotation process number 4, it says, for purchases below the bid threshold, for purchases of identical items, solicit at least 3 written copies for comparison for 10 to 20,000. 2 written quotes for comparable 3,000 to 10,000, requiring purchasers to include local vendors where possible. Purchase for same items 0 to 3,000 are direct purchases and require no supporting documentation. This is what y'all just said, the committee said, so I guess I'm confused how that's any different.
Randy's
than-
talking about a different document.
It's exactly the
she's talking
same
about
as
this copy.
But it's
what we normally
number
do.
4 in the document that he was just saying to add to the purchasing.
Right. That's exactly what we do
Right
right now, as far as the quotes, in the thresholds. The only thing we'd add to it is the requirement of local or local vendor. That, if it reaches that certain threshold, we require that if possible, they would get a local quote as well.
People are bidding out things underneath $20,000 right now for 3 bids.
Well, yeah, they should be. Yeah, they should, yes.
So
And
there's
it
no
is part of our process
accountability
that
there.
If it's $10,000 to $20,000, there should be 3 quotes attached to the Business Plus file.
And I think there's a difference between a purchase and a service. And
Yes,
they're
services
not
are- yeah.
services, so that's where some of the new, they should be, and we can double check on the 3 bids for the purchases. Services are different.
Well, I haven't gotten to my consultants piece. We're talking about if I'm gonna buy $15,000 worth of paper from someone,
Right,
that's a purchase, right?
right.
I would need to have a purchase order from Staples, Office Depot, and Walmart.
Right, you should
That's
have
what you're
quote- you
saying.
should
I
have
should have
quotes from
those
all
3
three.
things.
Yes.
I'm just going, I've asked for something, documentation before on a question on a bill, and I was told that people are only required to get, they can go with whoever, I can't even remember the language, they can go with whomever they decide. And so I'm just trying to figure out, do people actually know that this is the process?
They do know this. So it's a 0 to 3,000 is direct purchase, and you don't require any competition. Okay, that's always been.
But if it's over 3,000,
If
it
it's
requires
3,000 to
competition.
9,999, you should get 2 quotes.
Okay,
And
thank you for that clarity.
10,000 to 19,999, 3 quotes.
I'm not gonna be petty and find my email, but I have concerns with what you're saying, but then when we go through the payment of bills and we're asking questions about payments of bills, how things don't match.
Do you want to see the quotes? I mean, when you.
I don't know
request
that
them,
I
you should
want
get
to
them.
see it. I just want to know that people are doing it, or that they know that that's something.
As part of their training, when they're going through their training at the beginning of the year and the ongoing training that we give them throughout
At the
year.
summit,
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it'll be the summit, that'll be for the administrators. At the beginning of the year, we train our treasurers, and there's ongoing continuing education
Okay.
for our treasurers throughout the year, and we emphasize,
Okay.
what they should be doing.
I appreciate
And
that.
then new administrators get training beyond the summit. Wayne, I think if you can offer clarification around state things, because that may be where, when you purchase it from like state approved or state contract,
Right,
that's
there's state
different and
use
you don't
contracts.
have to do the,
Yeah, the air filters, we don't have to, just because they're under the state use agreement. There's other things too. But if I'm going to buy air filters, I only have one source if it's on the state use agreement.
And it's per single purchase. It's not all of the purchases together.
Right, it's per single item purchase.
Okay. So I can buy 5 $3,000 things of paper and not have to
And you
provide.
can't split the procurement. I mean, if you need it all at once, then you can't split the procurement. The quotes are required,
Okay,
for that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, my response to you, Mr. Lopez, would be, working with Mr. Carell, he has been so willing to find a way to enhance transparency that we've never gotten to the point where, if we get to the point where this would be a problem, he never hesitates to say. So you don't have to worry that any of these words would slow them down, or Mindy, because they work. This essentially is current policy.
Yes.
Okay, and the operative,
For the
and
most part.
this I'm saying is under 20, bold, what's it in bold.
Right, and that,
So nobody is messing with current policy nor slowing anyone down. However, your operative to the answer was that, well, they should get this or they should get that. When these additional questions were asked, and Mr. Carell said, well, you know what? Number one, this is a way we could do it, realizing we're the last people, and he's the last person who wants to go to his department and says, oh, I'm going to slow you down. That's not even going to happen. It's not a consideration. But it's for more transparency, and and it's for more accountability. And if you don't accept that, then you don't accept that. But it's a manner, and as I say, it's a willingness on the Department of purchasing to make purchasing clear. The wordsmithing task was all about clarity, that the vendor out there, the consumer out there, the business out there, as well as our staff are clear in making, how they do purchases. And that's it in a nutshell.
I will say there's an administrative burden to any question that you all ask me.
There is an administrative burden?
There's an administrative burden. I have to go look for a lot of things. One of the things that I want to do too is Power School can develop reports for us that
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm working over here. Okay, one of the things that I want to do is create reports, and I can work with Power School to do that, where it's a click of a button, you guys ask me, for some parameters, between this date and this date and for this amount, or, what we spend out of a certain budget. Power School, the way it is set up right now, isn't exactly user-friendly, but we can get them to, help us develop some reports where I can just put the parameters in and it generates the report. There's not a lot of good canned reports right now, not very good ad hoc reporting, but we can help, we can develop that. It'll just cost us a little bit of money to get those reports.
So can I ask for clarity, Dr. Nguyen? Because I think this is where, I just want clarity. The document, the under 20, the Finance Committee, we all looked at it, agreed,
Yes.
and the additional comments or questions around that, are you saying these two go together, or they're
That's
separate?
what I said. I made the motion that is an addendum then to this first read. Yes, I said that.
So I think for clarity, at least unless I was misunderstanding Mr. Lopez, I think that's the portion that he was saying, can it technically be a second read if it's the first time?
And he never did answer.
Yeah, and so that's where, so I just wanted to provide clarity on, like, I don't think there's any disagreement on the under 20,000, that sheet. I think where I will just say, there would be not number 2, 3, 4, because that's in that document. Internally and as administration,
Those are locals,
look, 2, 3, and 4, it completely aligns with what's in there. 5 through 9, I would ask before it's adopted as an amendment, because we didn't talk internally, that we bring forth what that could potentially look like, so that there are not, like, you're adopting it and then we're on the backside of something. Because I would want to get, while Mr. Correll is absolutely right, anything that we add will be, when it comes to those kind of things, would be additional work. I would want to get the end user's feedback about how we can make this, like, whether it's a cover sheet or that
that's
kind.
interesting you said that, because I submitted this March 1st, so I'm surprised you haven't had those conversations with the end users, and this is June 1st.
Right, well, they've been running schools,
understand
building
that.
budgets. So I'm saying right now, before you adopt it, because at that time, it was not even adopted by Finance Committee.
Correct.
So I was not gonna add additional work that may or may not go forward.
You remember how we usually do things on reads, and we're waiting for you to make your decision.
I'm waiting for you guys to finish that.
That we adopt things second read, and then they're changed. So, sometimes we don't even have the language, and we adopt things on second read. So I think we're waiting for your determination.
So the way I interpret and this may be a little bit of semantics, but the first document is clearly up for second read. Typically, when you guys do the reads, the reason you do the 3 reads is to provide opportunities for there to be amendments or suggestions to those documents as they're adopted through the process. So if I'm understanding the motion correctly, it would be to approve it for a second read with the additional language, so you could do that. Just like with any other policy that comes through, if a board member wants to make amendments or changes to the policy when it comes back for second or even third read, a board member can do that. So that's where you're at with it. That makes sense?
It made sense to me. I made the motion, but it's made sense to those who didn't.
Everybody was nodding. I'm just making sure we got consensus, if it makes sense for everyone.
So
I'll
if I'm
just-
understanding, I'm trying, sorry.
No, go.
I was just gonna say, it will be hard for me to support what is before us today, knowing that we are in a second read. We just talked about the addendum, and then we just talked about number 5 through, I think it's 5 through 8 versus 5 through 9. So I just want to say that out loud. But then I've also asked the question about our committees, and I will ask that we go back and revisit those at some point as well.
Ms. Russell?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to understand what Dr. Stubblefield was saying when it comes to proposal 5 through 9. Because I really see this document as an action plan, and I just want to be clear that I'm understanding what your hesitation is. I have mentioned multiple times I have concerns about the lack of alignment or coordination of consultants and how somebody takes a little here, they take a little bit here, and they have this, they're getting a lot of money from the district when probably the most financially feasible thing is those people should be on a retainer. And so I guess I see these as things that Wayne and Dr. Nguyen / maybe the finance committee have come up with potential solutions. I understand the administrative burden. What I'm hearing from you is different than what I'm hearing from Wayne versus he has seen and read into this second document as well.
Right, so I just want to clarify, the first document, I think that's where Wayne and everybody gave feedback on. The second document was shared, and we did not have robust discussions around that. So when I say items 2, 3, 4, all of that is reflected in the first document. I don't disagree with you regarding having a process. What I'm saying before, and you can adopt it as a second read, it is not changing. I was just saying, in conjunction with that, we do need to ask the end user. I respect what Wayne and Mindy does and how they do it, but majority of those things are coming from building principals and some of our departments around that. So what makes sense? What programs can we build out so it's automated? Because I don't want us to get, if this is the second read, the third would be the next time, and then we're like, why would I have to go back and do 3 references if it already exists in the system? I could probably just check the box because somebody did it. Right now, how I would read it is, doesn't matter if somebody else used the same person or same company previously, we had a good experience, we have this tracked in the system. That may be a step that I don't have to do, because the language is so, it just says consultant prior to approval, I think 3. And because the way that somebody may use a consultant, I don't think people intentionally say, what happens specifically with schools is they hear about it, it was great at Sumner, oh, I'm gonna bring them in. And then when Wayne or I see it, we then go back and say, we have to take this to the board because it's going to exceed $20,000. And sometimes there have been times that we didn't catch it because they had, so we can say to consultants, if you are working with multiple schools, you need to tell us that. Some of that we've cleaned up even this semester. I'm not saying all the transparency and all those things I completely support, but I acknowledge this came March 1st. We did not talk about it with the main end users because there were other pressing things that we were asking primarily building principals and department leads in the departments that primarily, when you look at it, is similar departments that use consultants more than others. So to be fair to staff, they haven't seen this document. A lot of people don't have access to executive content, and they're not necessarily going to look at finance committee. So when I met with the team today, that is the ask that we're saying. And if you adopt it as a second read, before we presented it, as a third read, we would want, but then you don't have that document, so then it's out of whack. That's all I'm saying. Like, we can come up with, this is what's doable with staff, but if you're on the third read and you're like, we need time to discuss this, we won't do this, it's gonna put
Still
you,
have a fourth read, right?
yeah,
You can.
right. And so if everybody's on level playing field about that, I just
I will
wanna
tell
hear
you,
from
I
the
want
end
something in
user.
place by the start of the new school year. It has been a thing that I feel like you've been moving the needle on very slowly. I also see these things as action plans, as things that are saying these are things that Wayne and the team are going to work on, not necessarily that when we approve this, and maybe this is where the conversation needs
Yeah.
to go, is that we're not saying on July 1, this is
Never was that.
done, because there's still work to be done, but this is what so everyone knows, this is the direction in which we're headed, so don't be surprised when this is required or asked of you, because I see this more as an action plan similar to our capital improvement plan, where, yeah, we have a lot of great things that we want to do in the next 5 years. Some of them will get done, some of them won't. So I guess I see this more as a tangible action plan of things we'd like to see started and facilitated, but not with the expectation by July 1. But I need to feel like we're headed in that direction, because I feel like we've got to be more fiscally responsible with some of our consultant dollars. That's just Rachel, just one voice. But I feel like that's what I heard and the direction that I think we're headed. But please, someone tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not incorrect. I mean, it says action plan. We've always been under understanding that, and I'll reveal a little bit about Mr. Corral. His first blush was, that may be hard. His second blush was, I'll work on it. The idea that, again, we can move in that direction. And if it takes, gosh, how long did it take us to rewrite the purchasing policy manual?
A couple of years, maybe.
A couple of years? Now you're lying. At least a year. I mean,
Yeah.
well, not a year, but a good 6 months. So, no, it says action plan. And, again, Dr. Stubblefield, you would have time. We schedule third reads. I mean, so if by the September meeting, you haven't had that conversation, we wouldn't have scheduled this third read. I mean, we don't have policy reads every meeting, so no, there's no,
And so if everybody is clear on that, but the way it was, like, and I may be missing the word action plan.
oh, throughout the second document,
I'm talking about the questions, not the,
they're attached.
Yeah, the responses to the questions that were on that March
oh,
1st
I didn't,
document,
There's seven.
the proposals and action plan
Yeah, there's 5
are
pages.
responses to those questions.
right. But it does not, those are the responses, but what I'm saying is when you look at those questions, and clearly, we all like walk away with different interpretations of things because we had plenty of examples of tonight. So as long as if you all are on the same page about we're not doing a third read until you had an opportunity to look at what we are proposing is doable for staff, I'm fine with that. Like, that document can come separate from the third read so that you can have time to give feedback and then pair it with the third read. I don't want us to walk away tonight and we say this is the second read and then it's placed on an agenda and we haven't done that. So as long as we're all on the same page regarding that, I don't think there is an issue with it, but I just want to be clear about the end users because I do want to be transparent since we're speaking in transparency. When it comes to like those who actually have to do this along with what they are required to do anyway, we are creating, if you compare them to their peers, in other districts and things that we are creating additional administrative steps. So I do want to be transparent about that. And that's the feedback that you are not going to hear back directly, but we hear about it. I hear about it. I hear about it from administrators at every level. So when we're talking about retaining and those kinds of things, that's the feedback people give you on the way out the door, just being transparent. So so let them have some say in, like, this is doable, this is not going to cause too much. Similar to Mr. Correll, who's the one who would be doing the other. So he looked at it, he gave feedback, and he did that. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear about that.
Please understand, we also talk to peers. Maybe it's a different, a board member is my peer. It's not the, principal's peer. But, and as I said, I spoke with KCK Chamber people. So it's not, I don't know how to say this other than no one's looking to put obstacles in anybody's way. And that's what I heard you say. Now, it may not what you said.
That's not what I said. I said,
Wait, just wait a
yeah.
minute. So take it in the spirit of, like you say, transparency, movement, accountability. Things don't change overnight, but you've got to start someplace, and that is, this is a place to start.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing. I did not say anybody was intentional creating obstacles and barriers, but similar to all the conversations that we have, there are unintended consequences for this, and that's all I said, give us an opportunity for the end users who actually have to do that, to give some feedback. And similar to what you said about Mr. Correll, it took about 6 months to a year to land where we landed on him saying, these are the things we already do,
No,
this is
6 months
doable.
for us, it was wordsmith the policy manual, because it was all, had not been reviewed since 2018.
I didn't mean to blur things up. The administrative burden is the the financial research that I have to do. And say for typically number one, or for example number one, I'd like to automate that. So, you tell me the basics you're looking for. It won't take me more than a couple of minutes to run that report and give you the information that you need,
That's good
okay?
enough.
And that's because it's going to be automated. Each one of these is going to require more work, establish a policy, amend the purchasing
And
policy.
establish, it's work on our part as well. And
Right.
that's where the rubber hits the road.
Right.
Are we willing to do the work?
So,
And
yeah,
that's
we'll have to take these.
along with staff. We're not working at opposite ends.
Yeah, we have to take these one at a time and,
yeah.
agree on all of them. So,
If,
Go ahead.
I'm not trying to make more work for myself, believe me.
listen, I just want to give you your kudos and your props, because I do recognize that this is a lot of work, but I also think these are many different conversations that the board has had, and to kind of see it all in one document and talk about the steps, that gets me excited. I guess my one amendment to the current motion would be if we would be willing to omit page 1 and just have the page 2 through 5 be the addition to the amendment. I'm not sure
Friendly
that
amendment.
that part is necessary.
Friendly amendment.
Yeah, that was just the basis for
Yeah, that
Yes.
was.
my response.
I just wanted to be clear to make sure, but, sorry, thank you.
No, that's good. Thank you for clarifying that. Additional comments? Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Page, please.
And then I want to thank you all for doing this, because I hear from people in the community, especially business people who are local. Some of them feel that they've never been given a fair shake. They're taxpayers. They support our schools. They want some support too. They see us sending everything out of the county, and they would like to have an opportunity to bid on some of these things when they can. I know they can't do everything, but there are some things that they could do that they don't feel that I remember Smallwood's Locksmith. I know they supported Wyandotte endlessly. They bought ad after ad, donated, and they didn't feel that they got a fair shake. and complain, no matter when I saw him. Hey, when are y'all gonna do something for the local vendors? We do support some, but we have quite a few, and they just want a fair chance to compete. And this gives them that
They can think
opportunity.
local.
Yeah, yeah. And what we're going to do too is more reverse vendor fairs like we had recently. We're going to have one in the fall, and we're going to basically have a round table with the vendors that show up. We're going to, stop what we're doing, the speed dating thing, we're not going to do that. We're going to have them ask us questions. What are your concerns? What do you think is a barrier? And, we'll be responsive to that.
Thank you.
Sure.
You. Are there additional, I'm sorry, Ms. Russell? No, oh. Thought you were going to say something. Okay. No other questions? If not, there is a motion with the amendment to remove page 1 and a second on the floor to approve this for a second read. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark.
Yolanda, okay, so just to get clarity, page 1 is not the addendum. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. Okay,
Yes, so it's for
It's
clarity
headed
for
like
everyone.
March 1st.
We're approving
File 2.
under $20,000 purchases document, which is 2 pages. It's got 9 or 8 bulleted numbers. And the amendment tonight was to add the objectives and action plans draft minus that first page that has the questions.
okay. So Yolanda Clark, no. I will just provide the explanation that, yes, I do sit on the committee. Thank you for all the work that you've done. I do appreciate the vote local, and I also appreciate the streamlining of the process. However, with the number of questions, and we normally do not go into a 4th read, so our standard is normally 3rd, and the amount of questions we've had today, I would say no for today, but we need to continue going forward, so thank you.
Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, no.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, and I would agree. I'm voting no, not because I don't agree with having the oversight and having additional transparency on our finances and looking at how we can improve these processes and promoting local vendors and diverse vendors. I wholeheartedly agree with that. My no vote is coming from, similar to Ms. Clark, that second document. This is the first time we're really having an in-depth conversation, which has been a really good conversation around it as a full board. And there are just some questions around process that I'm uncertain about the implications or unintended consequences. And I would appreciate having some information and clarity about how this would be implemented and what, if anything, it would create or cause. So I would vote no to the second piece. I'm fully for the first piece, but no.
Robert Mylan Jr.
Marlon Jr., no, I need more education with this.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
I vote yes, and I contend that we need to do everything we can to support our local vendors.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, and I guess I will keep the trend going. I am voting yes because I believe that this is a document that has been floating around very similar to other things. People have had the opportunity to ask questions. I continually am confused with the process for things. People say they want more clarity, more education, more questions. We've had this document for over a month. We can continue to be on the search for those questions, but on behalf of the folks that I serve, I would like to see us do more local and minority-owned, women-owned, whatever you want to call it, business, and quit giving our business away. My other thing is, I believe that this requires people to plan. And unfortunately, one perception I heard tonight was we don't want to hold people accountable to planning. And if you decide to do something at the last minute, we're saying it's continually okay. And I'm not okay with that. And I've said that multiple times in this board meeting, in this boardroom, that people have got to plan. Failure to plan means we don't use our dollars correctly. So I am voting yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Well, I'm voting yes because We have had this document since March 1. We are choosing to, and it's a choice, and everyone has a choice, to slow walk it. And people I represent are interested in transparency, and I still commend Mr. Carell with willingness and an eagerness to work in this direction. So I will continue to make this motion that we work toward this, and I would hope that the administration has time now to talk to your end user, because otherwise this is not a burden. It actually, you know, the example you gave was kind of interesting, that if a person is being used someplace and we already have, I guess, evaluation, you wouldn't have to do other evaluation. So I didn't understand your explanation. But I vote yes, and I will continue to support it. So thank you.
Thank you. The motion does not pass.
Thank you, Mr. Carell.
For clarity, I just want to be clear. Administration is not saying, like, the under 20, that first document, I said we all were on the same page. And I even said the second document, it's just looking at the end user. So I just want to be clear that while it's been there since March 1st, the reality of it is there have been other things that have been there since March 1st as well. And I acknowledge I did not put it in front of our building principals, and I would not have put it in front of them when they're going into testing, building needs assessments, the budget, and all of those things. So we do have a little reprieve now. I will put it in front of them. The second part, no, what we were doing with the under $20,000, we all agreed that's what we currently do. Is there some inconsistencies? No. So I don't, there's no problem with that. It is to just say, based off this, what would it look like? I understand the action plan, but I also understand that when we walk away, if we're not clear and that language doesn't align with what we are saying, it will cause more frustration. I will also say that majority of our staff does plan. There are sometimes opportunities that come up that, from teachers to building administrators to district administrators, that it's like, this is a unique opportunity, let us do X. So I think we're all saying the same thing, but I think it was two separate things that we're saying, let's move forward with this and come back and talk about the action plan. But looking at the action plan, because there are no, like, how it's interpreted and when it would be implemented, I think that's where it could cause some gray area. Power School may take a year for that, and as long as we're given updates for that, like Wayne is saying, they can build it out. Those things don't happen overnight. There are programs that we've been trying to build out in Power School for HR for over a year now. So we have to get in line. And I think level setting around those sort of expectations will help as we move forward. But I just wanted to be clear, we all support local, minority-owned, women-owned. That's what we do now. Is it consistent? No, but I was separating the two documents. That's all I was saying.
So if we're all in support, because I guess that's what we gathered, so when can we expect to have that information back? What is a timeline that we can expect that? If that's the same page that we're on, if that's the direction we're headed, I feel like we don't move unless people have a timeline. So what is the timeline for which we can expect to see these things? I don't want to be a year from now having the same conversation. So what is the timeline?
So I would say, based off of the conversation that you all had at the retreat, that you were going to start talking about budgeting in September, we could have it back to you probably by the end of August, because we have several administrators, their last day is next week sometime, like June 11th. They do not return until July 10th, but we can have it to you by the beginning of September, our feedback around that.
You
The
said
beginning-
August, and then now you're saying September, so which is,
I mean, school starts in August, so we would give it to them in July and we can have it to you by by the beginning of September, just so they have time to turn around. We have new administrators who this will be completely new to. We have several administrators that next week is their last week, so there are some gaps there. There are things, so it would be a part of what we're getting feedback over July and August, because they all come back by July 10th or somewhere in there, and we can have it to you by September.
Thank you.
So I think I want to make a motion that this board will receive information regarding next steps for the outlined do I want
Would it be to?
action plan and
Just use of
objective?
consultants? Because essentially 5 through 9 is just using consultants, isn't it?
I mean, but we'll need to, I mean, are you saying you want the review on the whole thing, or you want the review on 5 through 9?
5 through 9, the document and what that looks like, I think that was what I was originally saying. But I think it also will allow Wayne and others who, when we're talking about the business, the Power School of Business Plus component, to actually get a real true timeline. Like if they say, we can turn this around in a month, you'll have an actual timeline. Or if they say, it's 8 projects above you, we won't even look at this until January. Like, we can get those real components. I wasn't, the part that Rain was talking about with the automated reporting that we're already doing, we can reach out to Power School. The consulting part, I think we just need to level set to see what makes sense to say, yeah. And Dr. Nguyen, my example was if Sligo uses a consultant, we have a way to track and post it, because we don't have that now, so we need to build it out and talk about what that looks like, where they can obtain that information. We know they're in good standing with the district. If I choose to use them, I don't have to then go and do the same reference check, because I can just check with my colleague and they already have the 3 there. So it may eliminate some steps. Or if we say within a year, this same is used, I can check with my colleague, because there's no reason that that may have changed, so that everybody is not reading this and checking the same consultants. And if it's over $20,000, it would come to the board. But if 2 individual schools use it, it may not be, but it would eliminate the work. And then if somebody used that same consultant the next year, they wouldn't have to do that initial legwork. They can talk to their 2 colleagues who've used it, and they can see who've used it. We would just need to talk about what it looks like and where it makes sense for our administrators to get that information.
And I think putting timelines on
Yeah.
how good references are
Yes,
good for,
right.
because somebody who presented 5 years ago may not be good today. So, but, okay, so my motion, I guess, is that the board would receive an update with feedback and next steps regarding the objectives and action plans presented today. There's not really a title, so I'm struggling to figure.
Yeah.
You will get feedback. My rationale is that you will get feedback on pages 1, 2 through 5 from administrators, and bring back to us no later than the first September meeting
Yes,
with next steps and any relevant feedback.
correct, yes.
I need a second.
second.
Moved and seconded. Additional questions, comments?
And my only additional comments, because when you say one school uses something, that could be somebody's cousin or brother. And I'm not saying they're not good, but already it's too much buddy-buddy, family-family, friend-friend thing. And other people don't get a chance. That's what I want to make sure, that we're fair.
I respect that, But KCK is a very small
I
community.
understand that, but if we all keep using the same people, and there are other people out there who are equally qualified and can do the job. I hear what you're saying, but I'm just saying, let's be fair and give everybody a chance.
Thank you. Additional comments, questions? Seeing none. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark, Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, no.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, let's just have a overview of the next template, because the language is more extensive than the key point. The next document, again, reflects my experience working with $6 billion budget, education budget. And so the template, this was presented again to the Finance Committee March 1st. The end of March, we did not get a chance to look at it. We actually didn't look at it probably till the retreat, and even then, there was misunderstanding as far as to what the template asked for. But the meat and potatoes of this file, and it has first part saying, suggesting department budgets have a narrative. Dr. Stubblefield's response was that it would take the administrative assistant time to write a narrative, correct? Am I incorrect? Well, okay, let me finish it, then you can correct me. And that first executive summary asks questions of the department budget, whoever filled it out. The functions, the duties of the department, were their goals or strategies, but the key, the meat and potatoes are SMART goals. And that then, that is essentially reference 1 through 5. 5 asking Mr. Lopez, how do we deal with the needs assessments? Asking number 6, how do we determine individual school budgets? And then specific data that we have since addressed. Certified salary schedules, salary for administrators, technology costs. I think we will, we've done that. But the key to this document is asking the board to direct all departments to create SMART goals. And again, Mr. Mylan, I don't want to insult your intelligence. I don't know, are you familiar with SMART goals? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely.
Yeah.
And that is essentially the essence of the document.
I follow you.
So just
Fasting, yeah.
to clarify, I didn't say it would take administrative assistants time to do it. I was saying some components of this are really administrative assistant type duties where this information already exists, and it was just a matter of gathering it. Since then, this is actually one of the documents that I was able to get feedback from my immediate cabinet and separate, like SMART goals or a goal. We can work with the departments, and starting next year, we can actually put that on the actual budget sheet. So that's not an issue. The other component about when budgets are increased or decreased, we are internally working on a document that we can propose to say, here's what we see as reasonable and feasible. If somebody is asking for a increasing their budget or decreasing their budget so that we can have record, like you have a sheet with that information. So when you're looking at the budget document, you have a point of reference that, so sort of like a cover sheet. My recommendation, so since this year, everybody decreased their budget, if the board, once we share it with the board, and that document we probably can have a little sooner because it's more about the information and not some components, we probably can have to you by the end of the week, next week, in the end of the week, for you to look at and give feedback on that and to level set, just because unfortunately there's often transition or things change and board members change. I could ask staff if the board approves that sheet, every department can fill it out for this year, because we know we all made shifts in our budgets, that by the time you start your budget meetings in the fall, you would have a point of reference. And then moving forward, I wouldn't necessarily ask staff to do it every year unless they were asking for an increase in their budget, or if they were decreasing their budget for some reorg. So if the budget stays, your budget stays the same with the exception of increases made by salary, they wouldn't have to fill out that, complete that sheet annually, because they weren't asked, their overall budget wasn't changing. So you would have that initial level setting from this year, since everybody made adjustments to their budget.
Now translate.
So to translate that, the building needs assessment and those components, we do have a process for that. The specific components around the SMART goal, we can put that actually on the budget document in the current form. It's not there this year, but we can say moving forward, starting next year would be there. And for the narrative components that are in there, I just want to offer a proposal of what that could look like.
Plus, we won't have ESSER funds anymore, so that's
Yes.
irrelevant.
Yeah, so we could offer something that would be, that would make sense moving forward, and I can include it in the end of the week, next week. That is something that actually, since our last meeting, I've had a chance to talk to Mr. Lilly, to look at some things, and we've been creating a document that we feel like will hopefully address what is being asked there.
So here's my question. Do you need a motion, or do we have, is there understanding?
I mean, we can have it to you next week. So if you all need I've already started the document, we've looked at it, we are just getting some touch points and feedbacks, and we can share it in the end of the week, no later than next Friday.
But
Yes.
At the end of the week, can we get it put in the library?
We can put it in the library, but we can also, we'll include it in the end of the week. We typically put them in both spaces, yeah.
Ms. Russell?
Yeah, I think most of the attachments are also in that end of the week thing in the library. So I guess the one thing I didn't hear was the part about the functionalities of a department. I think in not even just board member transition, I think in leadership transition, functionalities of departments have changed, and I think that would be helpful. I will use the example, someone used help desk in a reference, and I immediately went to the student services help desk, like the line that people call, but there's also the help desk in TIS. And so I think like the functionality of departments and what is within their budgets makes a lot more sense if those functionalities are written out in these budget. And I feel like that's what the executive summary was getting at, because I also find it unique that our executive director of student services does graduations, but we have a executive director of high schools. Like those things are things that coming in, you don't put those things together, and those budget items are different. And so I think just that picture, because those things have changed, because people, if I was coming in for the first time, I would think the person over high schools is in charge of graduation. That's not true here. So just those nuances too, I think would be helpful in this process.
For clarity, by the end of next Friday, we will have something in end of the week and in board docs. Leslie, if you could just notify us once it's in board docs as well, please, with a potential template for the board to review based on this template information being requested in conversations that's been had at finance and here as well. That'll come to the full board no later than next Friday.
So appreciate your conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Board. Next is our communications. We'll hear from our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Stubblefield.
Okay, I will be brief and quick. Good evening, everyone. Just want to say we have come to the conclusion of another school year. We've had a great year with both the highs and the lows, and we want to say congratulations to all of our graduates and their families, and we wish them the best. And we also just want to encourage everyone to have a safe and enjoyable summer. And speaking of summer, our summer learning program is just around the corner. So it starts next Monday, June 3rd, and it goes through June 26th. Families and students who are a part of that have been in communication and received communication about start times and locations. But if they have questions, they can definitely reach out to the district, and we will provide them the information that they are needed. This is just a reminder that we're currently accepting transfer permit applications. The last day to complete that application is July 24th. There's information on our website. This is also a reminder to all of our community at large that the open enrollment period does begin June 1st. We know that they are overlapping, but when the open enrollment period starts, that does not prohibit our families who are residents of KCK from submitting their transfer permits. And that is all that I have. Finally, I do want to congratulate all of our retirees. We did enjoy the retirement ceremony, and thanks to all of those in HR and the other departments that put it together. There is a Flickr account to see the pictures of the celebration. I think if you go to the communications page, you can find that. So that is all I have this evening. Thank you.
Dr. Stubblefield?
Yes.
If June 1st falls on a Saturday, and they come in that Friday on the 31st and enroll?
Enroll for?
Well, you said open enrollment starts June 1.
Open enrollment for the state of Kansas is all online. They
Oh,
just
it's
go
all online?
online and complete the application. Our students who are staying with us do not have to submit anything for open enrollment. Open enrollment is the law that was passed. Every district will have an application available on their website, June 1st through June 30th.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick ones from me. Board, I'm working with Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, thank you, to gather all the information on creating the board budget. So hopefully she and I will get together. I know she's getting some documents together. By next week, I hope to have a draft based on the conversation that we had last Friday and your feedback regarding a budget for the board for next school year, next fiscal year. So I'll hope to have that next week. Ms. Smith is working on some documents by this Friday. So thank you, Leslie, for that. And then the other announcement, or two more. One, Board, you received an email from Mr. Birch regarding the Juneteenth parade. If you are interested and available in that, to participate in that, please reach back out to Mr. Birch and he can get you more information on that as well. And then again, just a congratulations to all of our staff, our students who graduated, all of our students who finished the school year out, to all of our staff. Thank you for all your hard work, your dedication. We celebrated one who's finished their 45th year, coming back for 46. It's amazing to see that, and we just want to celebrate all of our staff for your continued support, commitment, and dedication to our students, and to you, Board, for all the work and time you all put in as well. So thank you. With that, I'll open it up to other board members. Ms. Drew.
In looking at the reports, I wanted to address to Dr. Cook, say thank you, because it's apparent that your Department of Early Childhood and Head Start provides so much positive opportunities to students and families in all areas. This is why we are seeing so much positive change happening. So I just wanted to say thank you for things that you do to all of your staff and support groups. During the month of May, our school district has been very busy, and I know a lot of the board members are going to be mentioning of things that they have done. I attended several, but rather than list and repeat where I was, I just would like to say thank you to everyone, the central office, administration and staff, early childhood center and staff, elementary, middle, high school staff, alternative school staff, and library staff. We all have put forth effort to work collectively together in the 2023-24 school year, and there have been some ups and some downs, but throughout it all, we all have been on a path for moving forward to work collectively together. For the upcoming year, I encourage everyone to move forward in a positive way to endeavor to continue toward positive change. Student growth, staff leadership, and district improvement will flourish. We learn from the past, but we keep our eye on the prize to be positive and elevate and grow in the right way, because the best is yet to come. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. True.
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone. I thought the retirement this year was excellent. Hope you guys do it again. And just want to encourage anybody who's coming out next year, make sure you come. I know things have changed, but they did a phenomenal job. Just want to say thank you for that. Attended our budget meeting. I attended Sumner's graduation. Thought it was good. I still would like to have each school have their own. That's just my personal view. The Welcome Department, thank you for unity in the community. I thought that was a good program as well, and hopefully we can get other groups involved, because there's this stereotype that it just only works for one group, and that's not true, but we just gotta show people and get people to come out. And to Mr. Jermaine Wilson, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Russell.
Go. I put it on Twitter, but for those of you that ain't on Twitter, it was a long 2 weeks for Mr. Wilson. I know I love to come up with some ideas. Both I come up with ideas, we all come up with ideas, his team comes up with ideas, but it was a busy 2 weeks, and I know, man, event planning is not easy, but you and your team executed all the events. It was a pleasure to attend them all. We braved the heat together. We braved the air conditioner, all the things. But just want to say really thank you for pouring your heart and soul out into celebrating our students. I know that's my favorite thing to do, and to see some of those events come to fruition has been an amazing thing to see all year long, including the monthly celebration. So thank you for your team and your personal hard work, and probably a few sleepless nights just making sure everything's together. So thank you. But then also I know I bring a lot of hard conversations to this table. Each and every one of us do, the things we're passionate about, the work that we do. And so I've had a tough week, a tough day, but I think I just want to remind us all that we all know where each other's hearts are, and it's in doing what's best by kids. And I just really, really appreciate all of you, even in our hard conversations, when I don't agree with y'all, when I am frustrated and annoyed. But I really just want to say that.
And annoying?
Shut your mouth. Ain't nobody ask her. See, look. But I just wanted to say, we are getting there as a team, and I just am grateful to Ms. Drew's point. We are trying, we are headed. It takes some really tough conversations and some really hard choices, but we have made it through another school year, y'all. So kudos to each of us. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Russell.
I would just be echoing what other board members have said. The unity in the community was amazing, seeing everyone there, and just the laughter in the air was actually amazing. And then the graduations, I can't say it any better than anyone else has said, but just watching our students, I was very thankful we didn't have any flippers. That made me excited. I don't know if anybody's watching Twitter, but it's a big thing right now. So when we made it to the last graduation and no one flipped, I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it was an amazing time. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
I would like to ditto what has already been said, especially to Dr. Wilson, his staff and his group, whoever assisted him, and just the whole involvement. This being my first part in participating in graduation, however it was done before, I know Ms. Page said it, but I've been to several that have been separate, to see the outcome and how it was panned out, how it was done. It was very, I was joyful, appreciative. I enjoyed it in a tremendous way. It was really just to see the young folk, collectively, 2 in a row, then 3 in a row, how it was done. Things were done decent, in order, and top class. Top class, ditto is A1. So, with that being my first, I'm looking forward to it again. Not right now, but next year. Because it was tired, the effort was there, but it takes a toll on you, to stay that length of time. But everything from all the planning and the administrative part was very, very top class. So thank you, and I was involved, and I really enjoyed it with me, as they say, with me that being my first rodeo. So I just wanted, I'm very much appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mylan. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, huge shout out, Dr. Wilson, to you and your team. Great job. With that, we have reached item number 9, our executive sessions. Would entertain a motion to recess to executive session for consultation with the attorney on matters which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under COMA, with potential action to follow, going in at 8:20 for 10 minutes.
So moved.
And I'm sorry, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lilly, Dr. Campbell, Ms. Devon, and Mr. Clements. Ms. Smith?
See, he said Steve.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I can.
Okay, great, thank you. Motion to return to open session, please. Moved by Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. Russell. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr. Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
She said yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing matters relating to security measures, which if discussed in open session would jeopardize such security measures, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Ms. Devon, Dr. Campbell, Mr. Lilly, and Chief Nicholson for 10 minutes? For 10 minutes, going in at 8:38.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. Russell. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr. Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell. Dr. Nguyen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Londa Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, board and staff. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned. Have a great rest of your week.
Okay, well, we'll head to DC on Friday and then